In part 7 to this series, we are going to introduce the concept of investment. So far we have seen that saving through a bank account will result in a return which is probably below the consumer price index after tax. Thus we are looking for equity returns which over a long period of time should increase above the inflation rate. So if we take it over the past 3 years, we see that the Johannesburg Securities Exchange has increased from 18,000 odd points to 35,000 points today, and that's a handsome return. But when we go into it, we see that there are pits and troughs. For example, in August 2011, the JSE fell from about 32,000 points down to 28,000 points. What we are looking to do is to smooth the benefits over a period of time. Now, when one goes back to understanding risk, one sees that to get around risk, there is only one way, and that is to introduce a time horizon. What we are saying is that the longer that you stay invested, the lower the risk will be. So, if you want your money immediately, with no time horizon, then it is better to save, going up to an infinite return, which is if you gamble for long enough, you should win, or so the gamblers say. If we go back into the investment block and explode it outwards, what one finds is that even within investments there are low risk and high risk investments. So we take the time horizon again and we say in a 5 to 10 year period that is a low risk investment, and a high risk investment should be held for between 10 and 15 years. So we can then say blue chip domestic market shares can be held for 5 to 10 years, other domestic shares a little bit longer, and then if one wants to play in international markets, one must invest for 10 to 15 years. Now add in further complications. This is a complicated man, the Minister of Finance, Pravin Gordhan. He has all the taxes that are associated with investment, and one has to take them into account because there's no point in creating a handsome return if most of it is going to be lost to tax. So then we have to look at the various categories of taxpayers and the different types of taxes that they pay. If you invest as an individual taxpayer, there are some exemptions. Some incomes are taxed at 0 to 40%, others are taxed at 0 to 13%, and then there are special allowances depending again on the type of income that you may receive. One can also invest through a trust, and that has different rates attributable to a trust, or possibly the income can even be attributed to the beneficiary, who is an individual taxpayer who may pay less tax. Then there are insurance policies that have tax rates on revenue income of up to 30% and capital income up to 10%. And finally, there are companies which appear to have an attractive rate of tax compared to individual taxpayers and trusts, but it has to be borne in mind that there is still dividends tax to be paid on top of normal company tax. This then has to be coupled with the different types of investments. So you can run a share portfolio, which is very flexible, but is high maintenance and therefore expensive to keep. Unit trusts are far cheaper, but they are less flexible and they are lower maintenance. Endowment policies are not so flexible. You remain locked in for a period of time, but they are simple and potentially have a tax saving. Then finally there are retirement annuities, which are also not so flexible as you can be locked in until you're 55, but there is a huge tax saving associated with retirement annuity contribution. Investment is a science. Speculation is an art. What financial institutions are seeking to achieve is to use technology and research to create answers that marry risk with reward. That's science. This sort of knowledge is simply not available to the man in the street. That's why you need to find a financial advisor, so that you can gain access to the science of investment rather than approaching it from an entirely speculative basis with no research and technology behind you. This video was brought to you by the Sanlam Foundation.